Didn't think you were going to make it.
Mayor, you're good.
Okay. Good morning. I'll call this meeting to order. City of Palm Coast Council meeting, Thursday, August 17th, 2021 at City Hall. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to start this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me and rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there an approval for the minutes that were displayed in your package?
Mr. Mayor, we need to roll call and public participation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Mayor Alpin,
Present.
Councilmember Branquinho.
Right here.
Councilmember Barbosa.
Here.
Councilmember Kluvis.
Present.
Councilmember Danko is having technical difficulties. He may appear remotely. He was requesting through me to ask council if he does appear, may he participate with discussion and voting due to an extenuating circumstance of having to quarantine for COVID exposure.
No problem with it. Absolute no problem whatsoever.
So if he pops in, we'll advise that he's on and we can move forward with that.
This is a consensus item, so we're good. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Just let the record reflect that the council, based upon the representations, have found that there are appropriate and legal extraordinary circumstances as required by the Attorney General to allow Councilmember Danko to appear remotely in this matter this morning. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, and now we'll open for the public participation of the meeting. Are there any members of the public that would wish to step forward and have 3 minutes to comment? If so, please come forward now.
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Good morning, City Council and Mayor Applin. I hope this administration is serious about fixing the traffic.
I'm sorry, would you state your name for the record for us?
Steve Carr. I hope this administration is serious about fixing the traffic issues in Palm Coast. Over 10 years, the residents of Florida Park Drive have pleaded for traffic calming methods to greatly reduce the 8,400 cars per day, 60 feet from the houses of the residents. That's 3 million cars per year. This traffic quality of life has been destroyed, and residents' health can continue to suffer from prolonged, and I want to really state that, prolonged exposure to toxic auto fumes, auto brake dust, auto tire dust, not to mention 64.5 decibel noise. Florida Park Drive is being used as a thoroughfare to change traffic between Palm Coast Parkway and Palm Harbor Parkway. As traffic grows along these parkways, so does the thoroughfare traffic. ITT designed the Palm Coast Parkway, Palm Harbor Parkway intersection for the exchange of traffic between the parkways, not through residential neighborhoods. Convenience for drivers over protection residents' quality of life and health continues to plague a once peaceful residential neighborhood. To fix this problem is not going to harm the health of any single driver. To leave it alone will continue to harm the health of residents. Traffic fumes stunt the growth of children's lungs. Leukemia incidents are higher among children living in close proximity to home roads, high-density roads. Low-level constant traffic noise harms children's health, also harms their concentration. robs their future from them in school because they can't concentrate on their studies. Traffic noise causes heart attacks and early deaths, strokes. The traffic noise actually has an effect on the strokes and heart disease. Then Mayor Holland started pushing forward to help Florida Park Drive. Did a truck ordinance, great. Designed an island to slow traffic. But we need something to reduce traffic, not just slow it down. We do have a speeding problem, but we got way too much traffic. 8,400 cars a day, 60 feet from the resident's home. Where do you think the fumes, the dust goes? Right into the homes. So please consider fixing the problem on Florida Park Drive. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Al Cryer. I'm here to speak again about Cimarron. Today, I just want to give you a couple of numbers that we should all remember. Also, I want to present the fourth petition. The engineers gave a beautiful presentation last week and showed you different mazes, particularly the maze and the spider web of all the streets. And I've been studying this since November. I pulled one street out of here that nobody else can come close to. And the numbers I want you to remember, there's just one street in this whole maze that only has one exit and one entry, and they're one and the same. On this area, it services 5 communities, 40 different streets flow into these. 800 residents live in this particular area. They all have to go in and out on Cimarron, one road. The taxes from this area is roughly $4 million a year, 4003 to be exact. This equates to 3,200 cars a day on this road, which is just unbelievable. I could go on and on and on for hours, but that's the figures I want everybody to remember. There was only one street out of that maze that has all this unique stuff, and I could go on for hours more why we have to make it number one. A lot has to be done on a lot of different streets, and there's going to be more and more people coming up here. But this should be the first one, and then move on from there. I would like to, I'll give Virginia this, this is the fourth petition. I mentioned that we'd have 7 petitions in all, of all the communities. It's been overwhelming. I know the city is looking at them. We're closing in on 600 signatures of these 800 residents that are in favor of having something done on Cimarron, and I'm going to present that to you today. I was also going to mention that last week there was a meeting and almost 100 people attended it that were concerned with Cimarron. And there's a lot of cities that would have never made that meeting possible, but Palm Coast made it possible, and I wanted to thank everybody. Everybody did a beautiful job, and I really appreciate it. Likewise, the engineers, their presentation last week, I thought was excellent also. And I think we're all moving forward with a team on this. I know it's going to be a while, but we have to get to this end result. And that's where I'd like to kind of leave it. And I always close on the same notes that this is a good place to live. And you people work, and everybody at the city works real hard to make it a good place to live. Thank you very much. Virginia, I'm going to give you this fourth petition.
Thank you, Mr. Cryer.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any additional speakers this morning? Seeing none, I will close the public participation segment of the meeting and return to City Council.
Well, if you don't mind, Mayor,
Please, go ahead.
I just want to add something to what my friend Al Cryer You could stay. I just want to add something to what you said. You said that it's one street, it's the only street basically in Palm Coast that has got one way in, one way out. It's got about 800 people living in there. With all due respect, I live at Eric Drive. It's much longer than that, many more people, okay, because Eric Drive, to go around, it's a horseshoe. That's one way in, one way out. And it's a lot more than 800 people living there. We got the same problem you do, exact the same problem. There are people that to ride a bike, they have to go at least close to a mile and a half on a road that's just as big as yours to come in. Okay, but that does not mean that you have a problem, but the other way around, you do have a big problem that we have to work on, okay? Just to add that, thank you.
Very good. I'll refer additional comments and updates to the interim city manager as we discuss the traffic issues going forward. So you'll each be updated on your traffic questions as we proceed forward. So thank you again for your comments this morning. Are there any other comments from City Council following a public presentation this morning? Public comment? No. Okay. Moving forward, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I will motion to approve the minutes.
second it.
Perfect.
Any additional comments? Any changes, comments on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Now we'll move to the presentations and proclamations for this morning. And we start with our first presentation is the COVID-19 update. Bob
Mayor,
Snyder, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, council members. My name is Bob Snyder, and I'm going to provide you with an update on COVID-19 in our community. And again, I really do appreciate this opportunity. I think it's timely that this be done now. Thank you. So I only have 9 slides to share with you all, so let's go get right to it here. All right, slide number 1. This is health department data that goes all the way back to the middle of March, and it shows the Flagler County's positive cases by week. I actually was able to get this from Flagler Live. They've been tracking this since the beginning, and I thought this was a very opportune slide to share. It's very visual, and it clearly shows the spikes that we've had over the last 17 months, and especially the surge that we've all read about and have witnessed and seen nationally, statewide, and here locally the last 4 to 5 weeks, just the huge uptick in COVID cases in our community. When COVID first began, we reported pretty clearly that the most vulnerable population groups were the elderly when COVID first hit our communities. We were most concerned, rightly so, about the residents in nursing homes, assisted living facilities, people with immunocompromised conditions, chronic conditions. They were the ones that were most vulnerable to this. That still, in a lot of ways, is the case because we do have outbreaks at ALFs today and at smaller adult homes scattered throughout our community. But I truly believe that the most vulnerable among us are children, our younger age groups. So the next few slides are going to present to you data with respect to those groups, keeping in mind that there is no vaccine for children under the age of 12. So this next slide shows 3 age groups, those less than 12, 12 to 19, and 20 to 29. And you can see starting back in June and then progressing all the way through the month of June and the month of July and these first 2 weeks in August, you can see what has happened here over the last 4 to 5 weeks. Now this is statewide data. This is not Flagler County. This is statewide weekly cases, just so that you can see what has gone on over the last 4 to 5 weeks when it comes to our children. Over 500% increases statewide in cases affecting the young. The next slide is a statewide slide and data showing weekly vaccinations for the same three population groups. Please note that for those younger than 12, there are no vaccines, so we only have two bars representing the next two age groups here, but you can see about a 240% increase since the beginning of June for those who have gotten vaccinated. So that shows nice progression and people getting vaccinated, even our younger age groups, but nowhere near that we'd like to see. So here's a Flagler County snapshot. I asked our EPI staff to share with us for ages 0 to 24. How many positive cases have we experienced since May? May, 41. June, 66. July, 224. And August, 441. And we do expect a much higher number during the month of September. We've had 1 week of school go by, and so last week we began to collect data on number of students, teachers, and staff who are positive. You can see there to the left our students, 3 days, the 11th through the 13th, and the weekend. Then over to the right, you see the number of teachers and staff, 18, 12, 14, and 20. And we do expect those numbers to increase. The reason why this slide is very concerning is, similar to the situation we have where you have healthcare workers, let's say in a nursing home or assisted living facility, that are unvaccinated. I remember one nursing home where they had quite an outbreak in cases. So I asked the administrator the question, what % of your staff are vaccinated? And I was appalled to hear that only 24% of their healthcare workers were vaccinated. These are individuals that care for the elderly 24/7, positioning, feeding, providing medication, nose to nose. So what happened was our investigation revealed that they brought the disease from the outside and unknowingly infected senior citizens and who were very vulnerable. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen here through this slide where we have unvaccinated staff and teachers that are bringing in COVID from the outside and infecting our children, especially those younger than the age of 12, who are very vulnerable, as we said earlier in the presentation. So again, a case can be made to please get vaccinated. So what's causing all of this surge, this great volume of activity around COVID? Well, it's the Delta variant. This is a mutation that is more contagious and severe than any previous mutation. It is the most dominant variant in the United States. At the health department, our team of nurses and staff, we're seeing an average of 103 new cases per day that we investigate. It is as contagious as the common cold. And the issue here is both vaccinated and unvaccinated folks can transmit the virus. That is one of the elements that makes it so different than any previous mutation. And the variant is 1,000 times more transmissible than any previous variant. Again, the most vulnerable, in my belief, is that children under the age of 12. We've all seen right in front of us, we hear stories nationally, statewide, in our own community of hospitalizations just being, just out of sight. The Advent Health Palm Coast has been averaging positive cases and inpatient admissions in the high 80s over the last few weeks. Yesterday alone, 86 inpatients with COVID. Of the hospitalized, 93% in Advent Health Palm Coast are unvaccinated. 83% of the patients with COVID that I believe they broke a record yesterday at Halifax Health, so I believe it was 163, and 83% of those folks with COVID in the hospital are unvaccinated. The next item here just really shocked us. Advent Health has 9 Central Florida hospitals in the Central Florida area, and of all the patients in the ICU, 25% of them are pregnant women. Total deaths in Flagler so far, that number 127, I need to amend it. It's 130. And then as I was leaving work late yesterday afternoon, I got word that the hospital had 5 deaths that they're going to be reporting to the Department of Health. So we're at the 135 statistic right now for deaths. Positive cases in Flagler total 10,352. The new case positivity rate is 26.3%. On a more happier note, Flagler still is among the top 10 counties in the state of Florida for percent of people vaccinated, at least 1 dose, and that's 66,834, reflecting 64% of those eligible in our population here. We reported quite often the fact that through most of the last 17 months, I don't know about today, but as recently as 2 months ago, Flagler County did have the lowest case rate per capita for COVID in the entire state. So we are doing better than most, as sobering as that sounds. So I'm going to refer to this as my one happy slide and hopeful slide. It goes back to the beginning of June, and you can see there around the 2nd, 3rd week in July is when this recent spike began to occur locally. It reflects just over the last 4 weeks a 77% increase in positive cases here in Flagler. But look at that green bar, the number of people vaccinated. That's a 95% increase in people showing an interest and taking action to get vaccinated. So I really think, we believe that the Delta variant has really awakened individuals to seek vaccination and to talk about it in a positive way, and getting others to get vaccinated. So this is a very hopeful slide. We are in our phase 3 of testing and vaccinations at the health department. Because of the recent surge, we are now testing and vaccinating 7 days a week, Monday through Friday at our 120 Airport Annex location and at our primary location in Bunnell from 3:30 to 6 p.m. We're doing testing and vaccinations both at our primary location at 301 Dr. Carter Boulevard. Saturday and Sundays we are testing at our main location. And what motivated us to do this is not only the surge for the general public, but also going back to school. We put together a rapid testing protocol with the school district support to get kids back into school sooner rather than later. Meaning if you test negative using the rapid test every other day, your chances of going back to school sooner are greater. Otherwise, you do have to isolate if you're a confirmed case. You do have to quarantine if you're a close contact and you're symptomatic. So this mainly applies to close contacts who are asymptomatic. They have to stay home per an emergency rule for at least 4 days, but if you come to the health department on day 4, 5, or 6, good chance that you can get back to school sooner rather than later, meaning day 8. If you don't do that, day 8, if you are not symptomatic, you can come back to school. So that's why, that was the main reason why we are available 7 days a week. The demand for testing, I have here 3 to 1 greater than the demand for vaccinations. Truth be told, it's really a 4 to 1 ratio. Yesterday, we had cars lined out all the way to Route 100. We had 4 lanes of traffic in our small parking lot in Bunnell. So the demand for testing is just out of sight. And truly, I wish it was the other way around. I wish that it was 4 to 1 people wanting to get vaccinated versus getting tested just to find out if you have COVID. But so I have here, we're averaging 100 visits a day. Yesterday it was 160, so I got to change that statistic. Most pharmacies in towns have a vaccine for anyone who wants it, but only about 2 or 3 are testing, and there's a 3-day wait for that. So that's why we're seeing this huge, huge volume of people wanting to get tested at the health department. So what are the 3 mitigation strategies? Well, number 1 is vaccinations for all eligible. I just want to provide a shout out to community leaders and influencers in our community who have taken the step to really talk to their constituents and their neighbors and family and friends, and just being very open about encouraging vaccination. So I thank you who have taken that step. Number 2, the importance of following CDC guidelines. You know, until 3 weeks ago, the CDC said, hey, don't worry about wearing a mask. If you're vaccinated, you know, you can go indoor, outdoor spaces, but that all changed with this Delta variant. Remember, 1,000 times more viral load associated with that variant than any other. That's why they changed 3 weeks ago to say, if you are going into an indoor space where social distancing cannot take place, and there's a lot of people there of both vaccinated and unvaccinated folks, because as a vaccinated person, you can carry the virus. You should wear a mask and properly wear it and cover both your nose and your mouth. That is why they changed, because of this Delta variant. So we definitely promote following CDC guidelines. And then I'll finish by just talking about how Denise and Brittany and the county and all 5 cities have come together with the health department, and Mayor Alphen is a big promoter of this. And that is, let's come up with a revised, new, unified communication plan and strategy to get out the vaccinations and to promote the CDC guidelines. So we're working on a wonderful plan. We met last week for about an hour, and we have like 5 strategies that are being implemented. It's going to involve PCAs, it's going to involve audio, visual communication, posters. It might even involve resurgence of the town hall that we used to do many months ago with Mayor Holland and Matt Morton and myself. I was involved, Wally DeCino from the hospital, Dr. Bickle, and it was our way of engaging, informing, and sharing data, honest data and information with the community. And we really think that that played a role in us having the lowest case rate per capita in the state of Florida out of all 67 counties. So we think this will be a beautiful opportunity. And especially, you know, not just hearing from me and Dr. Bickle and public health people, but let's hear from those who, you know, can testify and provide testimonial. You know, like Council Member Commissioner Rogers in the city of Bunnell, who, you know, had a change of heart, you know, about getting vaccinated and is now pushing it and promoting it after he spent time in the hospital. People like Dr. Tucker, who was always for vaccinations, an ENT surgeon from Daytona Beach, who you know, he was in the ICU, I think, for about 2 months in Orlando, but he's now back practicing as a surgeon. So to hear from people like that who've had a change of heart, especially those individuals. So we are very hopeful that this communication plan is going to have a positive impact. And I just want to thank all 5 cities and the county and Denise and Brittany in particular for being so interested, and Mayor Alphen for being such a big supporter of this unified communication plan that we're working on. Thank you.
So, Bob, thank you very much. I can't think of a more energetic champion of a cause than you have been through thick and thin for a very long timeline now. We do appreciate you and all of those who work with you, and I especially like to recognize Ms. Gretchen Smith behind you, who I understand is both your right and your left hand in terms of getting all these things done.
But bodyguard, yes.
The energy from which you speak is encouraging and adds to that hopefulness that we all really need right now.
You bet.
And I would return to council for a minute now. Are there questions or discussion with Mr. Snyder while he's here?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Absolutely, sorry. I would just first like to thank Mr. Snyder for the data that he presented today. I think it gives a very clear view on the trajectory of the pandemic in our community, and it is very sobering to hear that we are performing at a higher metric, or I should say a higher performing metric than the neighboring counties and the rest of the state, but that is a sobering data point because it means everyone's doing worse than us. One other thing that I take away from the additional vaccinations that we've been performing these last few weeks is that potentially these were people who were holding out from being vaccinated, and those are the people who I believe have the greatest influence around those who still are unvaccinated. And I'm hopeful that that mindset and just the need because of school coming back and all the sports and children's health being at issue, that this is going to at least partially rectify the situation with people being reluctant to get vaccinated. So that's one silver lining that I'm trying to take away from this, but I think the need is clear and we need to stick together as a community to protect all of us. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Nick.
Mr. Snyder, I want to start by thanking you and the entire staff of the Health Department of Flagler County. I had the opportunity of being tested about 2 weeks ago. After we had a case here in our diocese, I took upon myself to go there. And the way I saw you and your person, you went out there publicly. You were out there talking to people. And that's when you came to me. And you didn't even recognize me. And the way I was treated, the compassion that these people had talking to other people, not just me, was phenomenal. I find that phenomenal. That's first point. Second point, these are scary numbers. If anybody's not scared about this Delta variant out there, they don't play with a full deck. With all due respect. That's my way of saying that they should pay attention to it. And then when you have the wannabe leaders, and let me put this, wannabe leaders, that goes to pharmacies and eavesdrops on a conversation between a pharmacist and a client, and then come to Facebook and say it there, shame on that wannabe leader. It's a sad situation that we went from one of the lowest cases by county in Florida to the top 10. I beg these people out there, please, Palm Coast, Flagler County residents, actually everybody, 135 deaths. Please get vaccinated. Please, please, please get vaccinated. Wear that mask. Wash your hands. And stay 6 feet away from everybody if you can. Right now, we have this barriers here. That's the reason why I'm only covering my mouth and not my nose. And out of curiosity, how many people did die here in Flagler County within the last 2 weeks? I believe it's 21.
Yeah, it's a little over 20. I'm trying to get detailed information about the deaths because we do have an inquiry by media wanting to know, age, sex, and ethnicity, which is good data to have. So I'm trying to get that, but yes, it's in the low 20s in just the last 2 weeks.
And for those who don't believe in this virus, go to the family of these people that died and tell them, I don't believe that virus exists. It's a sad situation. Thank you. Thank you for your job, sir. Keep up the good work.
Welcome,
Keep
sir.
up the passion.
You bet.
So, in conclusion, we certainly realize the dire situation we have. I'm getting a little bit impatient, so I'm going to ask you, as the medical expert, what are the main reasons people are excusing themselves from the vaccination? And let me explain the reason I ask. The reason I ask is that each of us who have been vaccinated perhaps can enter into a conversation with those that have not, if we're armed with the right things to say. So I rely on your medical expertise at the health department. What should we be saying?
I think one of the number one reasons is people feel like it's It's a slap in the face to their right as a person to not get vaccinated, to not wear a mask, that, you know, they don't want to be told by others to do that. So it's an obstinance that is very, very strong for that reason. So what I say to individuals like that is, you know, of course you have a right to make your own decision. It's your personal choice. But this is a virus that really doesn't care about your reason for not getting vaccinated or doing the right thing and masking up, because it knows no bounds. It's a living organism that wants to stay alive and mutate and continue to grow. So what you're doing is you're putting at risk the rest of us in society. You're making decisions that are not in the best interest of common man, the common good of the community, your neighbors, your friends, your loved ones, your family, your grandparent, and your parents, and strangers who you might walk by unvaccinated without a mask on in the grocery store. So there's that argument. Everyone knows, number two, everyone knows that this has been politicized, unfortunately, since the very beginning. And I'll stop there. That has been not helpful at all. But the group that I think we have the greatest opportunity for is those who still have questions. They're concerned about short-term side effects, long-term side effects. I've had discussions with many women of childbearing age who are just in their minds, even though the science, the evidence, and the data does not support their conclusions at all. But they're concerned about the long-term effects of the vaccine and ability to get pregnant and have a family in the future. I mean, there's been study after study after study, so we need to listen and be patient with individuals like that and encourage them to continue to ask questions. And so, you know, talk to your primary care physician. If you have questions like that or you feel like you're misinformed, please reach out to us, your physician, Dr. Bickle. Dr. Bickle has lived and breathed. He's our medical director at the health department. He is truly our researcher. He truly is our sage. He is our person who has kept up with the studies that are peer-reviewed and recognized by journals such as the JAMA, such as the New England Journal of Medicine, and not these out there, on the brink, extreme, you know, studies that are not peer-reviewed at all. He is reading the stuff that makes sense from the best virologists around the country. So come to a good source is the point. Come and talk to someone with an MD after their name, someone with a PhD in virology after their name, and the scientists. So I hope that helps answer your question,
I appreciate
Mayor.
that. So we'll look forward to, you know, ongoing updates, because we need to keep this obviously in our focus. It's not just about today, but it's every single day going forward until we, you know, come out of the woods. Any last comments or questions from City Council? Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mayor. Thank you.
Our next presentation is Parks and Recreation Teen Aftercare Partnership with Flagler County Schools. And you have a presentation for us. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Lauren Johnston, Chief of Staff, and I'd like to recognize the principal of Indian Trails Middle School. Mr. Andrews is in attendance with us today as well. So we have just a brief presentation about an exciting new program that we're offering in partnership with Flagler Schools. So how did we get here? The previous director of the Flagler County Youth Center, Jordan Butler, he approached the city about 2 years ago and said, hey, the Flagler County Youth Center is over capacity and we need to expand to the north side of town to reach Indian Trails and Matanzas High School. Can you guys help us? And we said, absolutely, let's see what we can do. Well, then the pandemic hit, so we were delayed for a little while, but here we are back to offer this new and exciting program. So we did get some public feedback in our annual citizen survey that really directs our council priorities. We saw over 1,000 residents respond in interest for more teen activities and after-school program. So we took that feedback as well. And then we did a direct survey to the students and the parents at Indian Trails and Matanzas High School. And we had 303 responses that said that they were interested in coming to the community center if it was offered and transportation was provided. So we met with the schools, and Flagler Schools in this partnership will provide the bus transportation for the students, and then they will come over to the Palm Coast Community Center, where we as the city will provide the additional staffing and the location to support the program. The program starts here soon, starts Monday, August 30th. It'll run Monday through Friday from 2:30 to 6 on school days. We're gonna start with capacity around 50 to 75 teens from Indian Trails with a goal to grow to 100 participants. This program is free. We'll also provide enrichment programs for a small fee during the aftercare. So we have a recent partnership with the Palm Coast Rowing Club, and they would like to expand their offerings to offer a middle school club team or a high school club team. So these students will be able to participate in that, as well as we do a robotics program. So there'll be a bunch of different activities for these teens to participate in while they're at the community center. It'll be happening. The benefits of this program, of course, it meets the need for the community, for the parents, making sure that the kids are in a safe place, provides a supportive and productive environment, and it creates an opportunity for us in Parks and Rec to build relationships and hopeful development of a teen advisory board. There's no better person or group to tell us what they want to do other than them. So having them tell us, hey, we want to go on this trip, or we want to see this kind of program, it'll really help us. An enhanced CIT program, this is our counselor in training program, which will feed into summer camp hiring so we can hire these kids to run our summer camps and keep growing that program, and then improve staffing. So we are ready to have fun, and we are very thankful for this partnership with Flagler Schools. Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Questions or comments from council?
There's good activities for the kids, get them off of the PlayStations.
We may have some of those at the community center.
Lauren, I think the counselor in training program is an extraordinary idea. Is that also a preventative measure to ensure that we have stability when it comes to placing the councils during summer activities so that we're not last second trying to find people to fill those voids?
Yes,
Excellent.
yes. We have felt the burden of not having enough staffing at our summer camp program, so the CIT program definitely helps develop the teens before they're ready to be hired.
That's awesome. That's very clever because the success of our summer schools really is a function of our staff there and their interactivity with the children. So thank you very much. That's a very clever idea.
Thank you.
In my opinion, after-school programs are probably one of the most important parts of the kids' education. And this, for me, is part of the education. And everybody knows how I feel about education. If you don't invest in education, you're going to be investing in prisons, rehabs, and things of such. So let's invest in these kids. They are our future. Our future is in our hands right now, here in this dais. So let's be part of it. Thank you. Good job.
Ms. Johnson, your staff is always so very well prepared with the logistical analysis and preparation for these projects, but I do have a question regarding parking and traffic, before and after the program ends. Are you going to face some congestion there? Is that something that we need to look at again?
No, the bus should be able to come into the community center, drop off the kids at the front door, and then that's whenever they'll be admitted into the building. So the Imagine School at Town Center, we are a bus drop off and pick up there. So that school bus is able to come in all the way into our parking lot, drop off at the door, pick up at the door, and keep going.
Very good. The only other question I have is, if the principal is here in attendance today, who's watching out for the kids?
Got a wonderful staff over there right now.
Thank you for attending. All right, thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to ordinances, and Mr. Reichman will go ahead and read for us.
Mayor, Council, this is the rezoning application number 4738 for the Tribute rezoning. It's an ordinance of the City Council, City of Palm Coast, Florida, providing for the amendment of the official zoning map as established in Section 2.06 of the City of Palm Coast Unified Land Development Code. This ordinance amends the official zoning map for about 10.5 acres, more or less, of certain real property described as part of tax parcel ID number 3912314001010056, generally located about 450 feet east of Old Kings Road and about 1/3 mile north of State Road 100, also known as Moody Boulevard, and more particularly described in the attached Exhibit A to the ordinance. The rezoning is from high-intensity commercial, or COM3, zoning district, to the multifamily residential 2, or MFR2 zoning district. This ordinance provides for conflict severability and provides for an effective date. Council, Mayor, this is the second reading of this ordinance. This is a quasi-judicial matter, so if there have been any ex parte communications regarding this ordinance and this matter since the first reading, those should be disclosed at this time.
I've had none.
Last Friday, I did receive a call from Mr. Toby Tobin that we never spoke about this matter, but I believe that Mr. Tobin wanted to speak about this matter, but at no point did we speak about this matter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I have none.
And just for the record, so that we're clear, Ms. Smith, do we have Councilmember Danko on the phone at this time?
No, sir.
No, okay. Just want to make sure for the record. Thank you.
I would ask City Council any discussion, questions, comments before I turn it over to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to step forward and comment on this on this ordinance? You'll have 3 minutes to speak, so please approach the podium now. Seeing no one, I'll close the public portion of this ordinance read. Back to City Council. Any additional comment or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask first whether staff has any additional presentation, whether there's any changes since the first reading and the first presentation?
No, sir. Good morning, Mayor Alphen and council members. There's no additional information added to this presentation. We're ready to take action and here for any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. With that, I would ask for a motion.
I will move to approve the rezoning of more or less 10.85 acres from high-intensity commercial to multifamily residential for property known as the Tribute.
Is there a second? There is no second. I can pass the gavel.
Yes, you can, to the Vice Mayor.
I'm going to pass the gavel to our Vice Mayor. Thank you. I will second the motion.
Okay, second motion. Any further comments on this matter?
Well, potentially, if we're looking at this, is this something that without a fifth council member that we actually want to be voting on right now? I mean, just the way that it seems, having a full dais would potentially represent an outcome in vote. Is that something procedurally that we can discuss, Mr. Reichman, or?
Well, you have several options. You could go ahead and I mean, there's a motion that's been made and seconded, so the council needs to take action on that. The other thing the council could do before taking action on that, it would be consider a motion to continue to a date certain for purposes of advertising. But I would remind the council that this is a quasi-judicial matter, and your decision today has to be made with that in mind. This is not a legislative decision. This is a quasi-judicial matter, meaning that a motion to deny this application must be based upon something in the record to show that this application fails to meet with the standards and factors set forth in your comprehensive plan and or your land development code as they apply to this application. So please keep that in mind for purposes of your decision today and whether you are going to vote for the motion.
All right, so far, we have first and second. I don't know, according to what Mr. Councilman Kloefers here said, that before we vote on this, maybe we should, due to the fact that we don't have the fifth person, that could be very important, postpone this to the next meeting. Could that be done?
Well, you can go ahead and vote on the motion. If the motion fails because it does not receive a majority vote, then of course the action of the council could be to make another motion and/or move to continue.
Okay, then let's go to vote on this motion. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those against say nay.
Nay.
So
Let's do a roll call, please, for purposes of clarity of the record.
roll call. Councilman Kloefers.
Aye.
Mayor, now acting vice mayor for a second.
Aye.
Nay.
Me, nay. So we have 2-2.
Motion fails.
Motion fails.
So is there any other, would there be any other motion
I
for
would like to
consideration?
make a motion to adjourn, to revisit this, you could have it now, to revisit this in the near future when we have a full dais in here.
Yeah, I guess potentially my question is, can we say a time certain if we're unsure if Councilman Danko will be able to attend the next business meeting? Or is that something we would handle at that time? We could just say
If, for purposes of advertisements, and I'll defer to the city clerk on this, but if this matter is not continued to a date certain, then the city would be required to re-advertise.
Okay, so then let's go for, would the motion be for a time date certain of this upcoming business meeting?
Your motion.
Oh, okay, yes, I would like to move for this to be continued on a date time certain of our next business meeting, which I believe would be, oh, Virginia, help me out here.
September 3rd, I believe.
September 3rd, I believe.
Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Sorry, September 7th.
September 7th. So the motion would be for a time certain of September 7th.
Any other discussion on this motion? I'd ask the clerk to do a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Branquinho,
Yes on this motion.
Councilmember Barbosa,
Yes.
Councilmember Branquinho.
Yes.
Sorry, I did you already. Clufus?
Affirmative.
Clufus.
Does it count twice that I said twice? Yes.
And Mayor Alfin.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item number 5, Mr. Reichman.
Yes, of course, Mr. Mayor. This is the annexation of Grand Reserve East. And this ordinance is of the City Council, City of Palm Coast, Florida, is to annex property to be included within the corporate area and city limits of the City of Palm Coast. It provides for the annexation of approximately 141.5 acres of property described in Exhibit A to this ordinance and lying in the areas proximate to the existing city limits of the City of Palm Coast, Flagler County, Florida. It provides for annexation in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 171.044 Florida statutes, provides for annexation of real property, amendment of corporate and city limits, provides for the rights and privileges resulting from annexation and the effect of the annexation upon land uses, provides for effect on ad valorem taxes, for the effect on businesses and occupations, and lastly, provides for severability, conflicts, and provides for an effective date. This is a legislative matter, members of council.
Are there any comments or questions from City Council?
Nope.
Fine. I would open this up for public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to approach and speak for 3 minutes on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the City Council and any additional comments, discussion, or is there a motion?
I would move to annex voluntarily the 141.5 acres area 3,000 feet north of State Road 100 on the east side of Roberts Road.
I'll second that motion.
Any additional discussion? I'll ask for a roll call vote from the clerk, please.
Vice Mayor Branquinho,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbosa,
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus,
Affirmative.
Mayor Alfin.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Welcome to District 3.
All right, we'll move on to item number 6, ordinance first read, please, Mr. Reichman.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is the Flagler Village Comprehensive Plan Amendment, application number 4766. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, providing for the amendment of the City of Palm Coast 2035 Comprehensive Plan as previously amended, pursuant to Section 163 Florida statutes. amending the future land use map, or FLUME, designation for 108 acres, more or less, of certain real property from mixed use to residential, as described in more detail in the legal description, which is attached as an exhibit to this ordinance, and including a note on the future land use map to permit a maximum of 295 dwelling units on the subject parcel. This provides for conflicts, ratification of prior acts, codification, severability, and for an effective date. Again, Council, Mr. Mayor, this is a legislative matter. When you amend your future land use map, it is a legislative matter.
Any comments or discussion before I turn this to the public?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this mixed use was, for low density and high density.
Yeah, let me, Mr. Ray Tyner, Chief Development Officer. For this item, Mr. Papa, our senior planner, has the staff presentation. For item 6, this is a first read for the future land use map amendment for this property. And also, item number 7 is the rezoning. This is a first read, first presentation. And it's a companion rezoning for the same property. So, Mayor, we are asking that item number 6 and 7, that we do one presentation together, but then after we're done with the presentation, of course, you'll have to vote separately on items 6 and 7.
Does that meet with council? Very good. Okay, please proceed.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Barbosa, I'm sorry, maybe the presentation, once we get the presentation, would answer your question. We'll be happy to answer after the presentation.
Good morning, Mayor, members of City Council. Jose Papa for Community Development Department. I'll start off with this presentation. It's a two-parter, as Mr. Tyner mentioned. I will go over the future land use map amendment, and then Mr. Bill Hoover will take over to discuss the zoning map amendment. Just to give you a background, this is 108 plus or minus acres, located about 2 miles south of State Road 100 on the east side of Belterre Boulevard, as you can see. Towards that would be the southwest corner of the airport, which is up here. The parcel is currently vacant right now. The proposed future land use map amendment is a change from mixed use, as you can see in red here, for that 108 acres, to residential. This was once part of a larger parcel, as you can see, the northeast corner of Citation Boulevard and Belterre Boulevard will not be part of this change and will remain as mixed use. And maybe to answer Mr. Barbosa's question, currently it is part of an approved master plan development where this parcel, this 108-acre parcel, was permitted for 287 multifamily units, 86 single-family units, and 72 townhouse units, along with 108-bed ALF, or 445 units. Part of that change is to a smaller development of 295 single-family units. And these are the parcels that are most affected by these two applications, the future land use map amendment and the zoning map amendment. With any future land use map amendment, we go through a public facilities impact analysis, and based on what was currently approved in the MPD and what's being proposed as part of the future land use map amendment, along with a policy limit to limit development to 295 dwelling units, there will be a reduction in the impacts to public facilities. Less traffic, lower demand on water and sewer, less demand or less production of solid waste, reduction on the demands for parks, and less demand on student facilities. Going to the environmental impact analysis, the amendment does not have any additional impact on environmental features found in the subject property. Since the amendment itself does not expand the developable area, so there are no impacts on the listed species, special flood hazard area, groundwater resources, historical resources, and local topography. The proposed residential land use designation is consistent with the existing uses to the north and to the east. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan policies that direct urban densities and intensities where utilities are available, and those utilities include water, sewer, transportation. Our findings that there is no significant impact on the level of service for public infrastructure, no impact on environmental conditions, Again, it's generally consistent with the surrounding land uses and consistent with comprehensive plan. The Planning and Land Development Regulation Board did hold a public hearing on this item at the July meeting and recommended that City Council approve for transmittal to the State Land Planning Agency this application, excuse me, which is a future land use map amendment from mixed use to residential, along with the policy to limit development on the subject parcel to 295 dwelling units.
Good morning, Mayor, council members, and the general public. Bill Hoover of the Community Development Department. MAS Development Corp., as the contracted purchaser, wants to rezone the property from Citation Estates Master Plan Development to Single-Family Residential 1 in order to develop a single-family subdivision that would be capped by the future land use map amendment to 295 homes. And you can see that the property right now is zoned master plan development. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see in the tan color, that would be the 108 acres going to single-family residential 1. The rest of Citation Estates Master Plan Development, which is the 15 acres right there at the corner of Citation and Belterre Boulevard, that would remain as the MPD, and it has COM2 uses. So this is just a little bit showing what would actually happen here. So right now we have 287 multifamily homes, 72 townhomes, and 86 single-family homes and a 108-bed assisted living facility. So as things have changed, this would be capped to go to 295 single-family homes, which is a reduction of 150 homes, and the assisted living facility is also being removed. Now, since that time, I think over the last 2 weeks, they've submitted a subdivision master plan, and it's showing 228 homes. So the 295 is a cap, and so based on the single-family residential 1, they're showing 228 is a realistic number. So we're really looking at a reduction of about, say, 220 homes in that neighborhood. This thing's froze.
No, it's go. It's not frozen. Here we go.
We review this, each project that comes before you with 5 review criteria from section 2.0505 of the Land Development Code. It needs to be not in conflict with the public interest. The SFR1 zoning district is an allowed zoning district in the proposed residential designation on the future land use map. And in staff's opinion, it will be compatible with other uses on neighboring lands. The project will also meet 2 goals, policies, or objectives of the comprehensive plan. And then as it goes through that subdivision platting process that I referred to earlier, it will need to meet the Land Development Code. C, must not impose a significant liability or hardship on the city. We do have public water and sewer are available to serve the site, and Belterre Boulevard and Citation Boulevard will still be at an acceptable level of service with the project's traffic included. D, must not create an unreasonable hazard or nuisance. The rezoning will be compatible with the overall neighborhood as it is located within an area of primarily residential uses. Most of those are single-family and duplex and preserved lands, and the residential uses will help provide demand for existing and future commercial uses, including the 15 acres that's adjacent to the site. And E, must comply with all applicable government standards. So this would include the Land Development Code locally, St. John's River Water Management District as they go through permitting, and the state DEP for utility permits, and any federal guidelines also. There was a neighborhood meeting held on this project at 5:30 p.m. on July 13th. 7 neighbors were in attendance. The general consensus at that meeting was that most of the neighbors seemed to be happy that it was being a less intensive project. And the staff attended as well as the developers team. So before each public hearing on this, the developers put signs up on both of the major roadways. We've ran newspaper ads. And then staff has discussed this project with several neighbors that live to the north and east of the site. The planning board was held on July 21st. Several persons spoke at the hearing with concerns on the project, and the planning board found the project in compliance with the proposed future land use map amendment and recommended approval to City Council by a 6-0 vote. So where we had it, there would be a second City Council meeting on this. And then once but that wouldn't occur until after the future land use map would, presuming that's approved today, would go to the state and come back. That's about a 30-day period. So probably in October, we'd have a second hearing on this. It would then go to the planning board as a subdivision master plan, and then the final plat would come back to City Council. The Planning and Land Development Regulation Board determined the proposed rezoning, application 4743, was consistent with the proposed comprehensive plan amendment and recommended approval to City Council to rezone 108.2 plus or minus acres from master plan development to single-family residential 1 zoning district. And the applicant's team is in attendance today.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir.
That includes all, but the applicant may have some words too, Mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Brett Markovitz, office manager with CPH Engineering. My address is 23B Empress Lane, Palm Coast, Florida. Also in attendance, I want to recognize Mr. Nico Gabi with Mass Development, who's in attendance. We've attended and processed through the community development meeting and the planning board. It seems to be that the 3 concerns that residents had was flooding, which we assured them that through the St. Johns River Water Management permitting that they do not allow off-site discharge of your stormwater, that we have to maintain a certain criteria for treatment and volume on site. So that should not be an issue. The second item was the habitat, which we are only impacting very minor wetlands, isolated areas. And as you saw the mapping, that we are maintaining almost fully the majority of the wetlands areas. The third concern was just the crossing of the wetlands, which would need to be mitigated by the St. Johns River Water Management District. The concern was habitat movement through that crossing, and that crossing will be a culvert system, which will be sized to accommodate any movement of the current stormwater within that wetland, and also be sized, large enough to allow, habitat to use that culvert system to basically migrate between the wetlands if needed. We appreciate the assistance and the diligence of the city staff that has helped through this process so far, and we're here to answer any questions that may arise.
Just a question for staff. Why is number 6 and number 7 together, if I may? Forgive my ignorance over here.
We have typically done the presentations together because they're so interrelated, and to do one presentation for the future land use map change and the zoning because it relates to the same property and is a lot of the same information.
Right. When we open for questions to the staff, then I'll gladly do it. I was just...
Okay. Comments before, are we in public comment yet?
We have not done that yet, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments before I turn it over to the public?
I have none at this moment.
I do have one question. I see identified an active recreation area, perhaps an acre and a half. Can you define that? What is that, a park? Is that what is the concept there?
Brett Markovitz again, CPH Engineers. The active recreational area is proposed to be a clubhouse and a pool or recreation area. There will be some passive recreation and trails and, maybe picnic tables around the development, but primarily that acre's designated for a clubhouse events type, program and building there for the residential use.
So did I miss it before? Was it mentioned this is an HOA type community? Is that what we're?
The developers are still considering whether it's gated or not gated, but it will be an HOA, sorry.
Okay.
There'll be some mechanism to maintain the common areas and, that clubhouse area.
So the residents would pay for the upkeep, the maintenance of the common areas within the community?
Correct.
Is the concept as it stands now? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and that's based on the plat, we'll identify those common areas and so forth. And then also the roads will remain private as well, so.
Thank you. Okay. So unless there are any questions or comments right now.
Right, to staff, yeah. To staff, I have a couple of questions. First, I'm glad that we went from 287 multifamily to 228. I would like to hear from staff if 287 multifamilies, are there low, medium, or high density? Because that's very important for me.
Well, what's being proposed here is the multifamily that was there as part of the master plan development agreement. That is being proposed to go away, and we are just going to have single family, our standard 50-foot lots, 6,000 square foot, single family residential lots on the property.
And that's on number 6 and number 7 altogether?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there will be no multifamily homes?
No, sir.
Thank you, that was my question. I want to make sure that I put it clear on the
Okay, let me open for public comment now. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward and comment on this first read?
For purposes of the public, this is on agenda items number 6 and 7 for public comment. Agenda item number 6 is the amendment to the city's future land use map. Agenda item number 7, these will be taken separately. Agenda item number 7 is the rezoning of the same property consistent with the proposed amendment to the future land use map.
So again, any members of the public would like to step forward and comment at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment second, bring it back to City Council.
I'll gladly make a motion on number 6 to amend the future land use map designated 108A.
I'll second it.
Yep, perfect. And the only comment I would like to make beforehand is my lack of comment regarding this is essentially it's an upzoning with less intense usage, so it's generally not very contentious, so.
No brainer.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. That ends the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? City Clerk?
Motion passes 4-0.
Very good. Now we have a second?
I'll make a motion to pass on number 7.
I'll second.
I have
Actually, it
not
was
read,
not even discussed.
excuse me, I have not read the title
Yes.
to that ordinance, so if you
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
allow me to do that. Thank you. This is the corresponding, the companion rezoning of the same parcel that would be consistent with the future land use map amendment that you all just passed on first reading. This is a rezoning application number 4743, the Flagler Village rezoning. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, providing for the amendment of the official zoning map as established in Section 2.06 of the City of Palm Coast Unified Land Development Code. It's amending the official zoning map for 108.2 acres, more or less, a certain real property described as tax parcel ID number 711-31-764-000-RP-0041, generally located in the northeast quadrant of Belterra Boulevard and Citation Boulevard, and more particularly described in the Exhibit A attached to the ordinance. We're amending from Master Plan Development or MPD zoning district to single-family residential 1 SFR1 zoning district. This ordinance provides for conflicts, provides for severability, and provides for an effective date. And this is, since this is a rezoning and is therefore quasi-judicial, if there have been any ex-parte communications on this matter, just the rezoning, since this is quasi-judicial, those should be disclosed at this time.
I've had none.
None.
Okay, we've already had public comment.
We've had staff, we've had the public. If there are, I would suggest if there's any other questions on this matter, otherwise, it would be appropriate at this time to consider a motion.
Motion to approve.
I second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? City
Motion
Clerk?
passes 4-0.
Very good. Next item, number 8.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is another legislative matter. This is an amendment to your code. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, amending the City of Palm Coast Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Businesses and Business Regulations, by defining collection bin and adding a new article as to the regulation of collection bins within the city limits, providing for severability, codification, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is the first read of this legislative matter.
And staff has a presentation.
Good morning, Mayor, City Council. There were no changes from the workshop. We can provide you with the presentation if you like, or not, whenever you prefer.
All of this, we've done it.
Yep.
At least to me.
Yeah, hopefully this make the place a little bit cleaner.
Very good. I don't think we need any additional, and no questions of staff right now. So I'll open it up to the public. Any member of the public like to step forward and comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Any last questions from City Council? Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass.
Seconded.
Any further discussion by City Council? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-0.
Moving to item number 9, Mr. Reichman.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, the title of this ordinance is as follows. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, relating to facilities, single-family properties, amending Section 41-11A Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Coast to clarify screening requirements, providing for severability, providing for codification, for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is the first read of the title of this legislative matter. Mr. Mayor, Council.
Again, this is hopefully to help code enforcement with a little bit less phone calls.
Any other questions?
Nope, all good.
Okay, again, open to the public. Would any members of the public like to step forward and comment on this read? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Any last questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion to pass.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? City Clerk?
4-0.
Okay. Thank you for that short presentation. Moving on to Section I, Resolutions, number 10, please, Mr. Reichman.
Yes, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast approving the fiscal year 2021-2022 non-ad valorem assessment roll for the Old Kings Road Special Assessment District, directing certification of the assessment roll to the Flagler County Tax Collector and providing for an effective date.
Questions or comments from City Council at this time? No. I'll open up for public comment. Any members of the public like to step forward and comment on this resolution? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment section. Any last questions or comments?
Nope, but I would take it as an assumption that staff was able to get with the few individuals. If our answers last week didn't give them enough information about what exactly the OKR, Special Assessment Tax Roll, was. Remember, we had a few members in the audience. Their lack of visibility here today means we did our job. So.
Mayor, City Council, Jason DiLorenzo, Chief Development Officer. Yes, we spoke to the gentleman last week and clarified, and we were able to answer all his questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, any further comments or questions from City Council? Then I would entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the Old Kings Road Special Assessment Roll.
Second.
And we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Any other second? I like that one.
All right. Any opposed? Very good. City Clerk?
Passes 4-0.
Item number 11.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is a resolution of the City Council, City of Palm Coast, Florida, relating to nuisance abatement within the incorporated area of the city. This resolution amends the initial assessment resolution and provides authority and definition, creates nuisance abatement service area, confirms the initial assessment resolution, and approves the nuisance abatement assessment roll. It provides for the imposition of the nuisance abatement assessments, for collection of those assessments pursuant to the Uniform Assessment Collection Act and the Florida statutes, and provides for the effect of this resolution for severability and for an effective date.
Any questions or comments on this item, gentlemen? No. Open for public comment. Any members of the public would like to step forward and comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment section. Any last questions or discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the final nuisance abatement assessment.
And I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-0.
And item number 13?
12, I believe.
I'm sorry, 12.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, approving amending the Parks and Recreational fee structure, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute said agreement, provides for severability, codification for conflicts, not for codification, for conflicts, provides for implementing actions and for an effective date.
Comments or questions regarding the recreation fees?
I just have a comment. I would like to thank Laureen for your beautiful work that you did on this. And I think that these fees are more than fair, especially compared to what surrounds us. They're very, very fair. I've been speaking with some of the people, especially at the golf course.
Yes.
Okay, and they are absolutely in favor of those few bucks that they're going to pay, especially with a product that we give them for that amount of money. Thank you for your job. Thank you.
And I would comment on top of that as well, that they've done their homework, and this is also a work in progress. So the fees will be monitored to be consistent with what is appropriate for the public without being too demanding. So I appreciate your comment, Councilman Branchino. I would open up for public comment. Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Any further discussion or questions? Is there a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-0.
And now, sir, number 13.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council, City of Palm Coast, Florida, approving the 2022 state legislative priorities, providing for an effective date for severability. It provides for conflicts for implementing actions and provides for an effective date.
Questions or comments from City Council?
This didn't change from last,
No, sir. No changes from our discussion at the workshop last week.
Could you just review the priorities just quickly, the bullet points?
Sure. This is for the Northeast Florida Regional Council. We will, upon your approval, transmit this to the county, which will be included with all the other municipalities in the county, plus the county's priorities, and be transmitted to the Regional Council for inclusion in their handout. The three priorities are including PEP areas as a priority to restore power to in the event of a natural disaster. The second one is funding of the Phase 2 and Phase 3 work plan for Old Kings Road. And priority number 3 is to for transportation access to the west. So looking for opportunities for access to the west and for the legislature to help fund that access.
Very good. Thank you for that. Any questions about the priorities, Councilman Berkino?
no, they're good. And actually, I don't know if our city manager is going to talk at the end as part of the task force that's going to be created, or if it's already created from this Florida northeastern.
I can cover that in my comments.
Okay,
So let's
thank you.
let's move through the item and then
Yes,
we'll.
absolutely,
very
but
good.
I don't know if there was any comment to that towards, that would be appropriate, but at the end, it's, okay.
So I would open the legislative priority item out to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on our legislative priorities? Seeing none, I will close the public comment. Any additional discussion or questions from City Council?
Not here, and I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
Thank you.
Seconded.
And a second we have. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. We'll move to the section on other business, City Council Mayoral Liaison Appointments.
Mayor, City Council,
Man.
with the resignation of Mayor Holland and the election of Mayor Alphen, we need to fulfill the open seat. You can appoint Mayor Alphen, you can appoint someone else. Mayor Alphen is next in line as mayor, so it would make sense to go that route, but that's up to council's determination.
Got no problem appointing.
Yeah. Sounds like you were voluntold, Mayor Alphen. Yes.
I think this is, does that require a public discussion? I don't think so. Does it? No. If it does not, then it
A
needs a
consensus
motion.
item. I don't think we need a motion, correct?
It would be appropriate for one of the council to make a motion to reappoint the mayor to fill the liaison vacancy held by the former Mayor Holland to the River to Sea Transportation Planning Organization.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
Any other, the only discussion I have is I'm happy to accept and invest the appropriate amount of time to help us gain a regional impact on the area and all that's included with that, so thank you. So I would, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next item is to appoint 5 members to the Districting Commission, and we'll need a little background on this, please. Mr. Papa, thank you.
Come forward.
Good morning. As called for in the charter, every 10 years when the decennial census results are released, we are to look at our voting districts to ensure that the population is evenly spread through those districts. I can tell you that the city of Palm Coast has gained 14,000 in population, and it would be nice if that 14,000 increase was spread evenly throughout the 4 districts, but we know that that's not the case. So the task here is that, as called for by the charter, that we will look at the results of the 2020 decennial census and look to align the districts such that the population are more or less evenly spread through the 4 districts. We're looking at about a 14,000 increase in population, so each district will grow by about 3,500. And it's not that we're going to get even to an even number with each district. General law allows us a plus or minus, I think what's acceptable is 5%, maybe 5 to 10%. Variance, plus or minus above that even split. And as called for in the charter, council is to appoint a districting commission which will oversee the process and provide you with a report that you may accept for the redistricting of the voting districts. What's been done in the past is that each council member gets an appointment from their district, and the mayor has one at large.
Mayor, Council, let me read from the charter. It provides a little bit more guidance, and then I'll defer to the city clerk and Mr. Pop as far as the next steps. But I'm reading from the charter. Specifically says, by the first day of the month following official certification notification of the decennial census, and I believe that was this month that we received it.
Last week.
Last week. That means, so according to your charter, by the first day of the month following that, so no later than the end of August, the city council shall appoint 5 city electors determined from the registration for the last statewide general election, who shall comprise the districting commission. Electors chosen shall not be employed by the city in any other capacity. So those are your guidelines, and it's my understanding from the agenda item this evening, can stand corrected this morning, I apologize, that the purpose of this is to alert the members of the council of their responsibilities according to the charter, so that this matter can be placed on an agenda, future agenda, and I believe there is a plan for a special meeting to be held on August 24th to comply with the time requirements set forth in the charter. If I have misstated the intent and purpose of this agenda item, please let me know.
Mr. Ratchman, do we presently have any of these members? Do we have any members right now?
No, this is the charter requires the creation of this new commission.
This is going to be a creation.
This is just, it's for limited purpose and limited scope and limited time. It's just according to your charter to appoint 5 members to this districting commission. There were 5 members appointed in 2011, given the 2010 decennial census at that time. So as soon as they finished their job according to the charter, which was to submit to the city council their recommendation, by operation of your charter, that their job was done, and that commission was disbanded. So you're forming a new one, and like Mr. Papa said, it's a matter of each member of this council must appoint one member of the commission, and that needs to be done no later at the end of this month. And according to the agenda item, it's my understanding that the city manager and your city clerk were recommending a special meeting on August 24th. For this council to make those appointments at that time. And I'm surmising that the purpose of this being held this morning is so that it provides the members of the council adequate time to consider their responsibilities as described this morning and be prepared to make a recommendation for their appointees to be appointed on August 24th.
A couple of questions, Mr. Ratchman. Are we going to be informed if any requisites or impediments to any candidate for this, if I may call them candidate?
Well, they have to live in the district, in your district.
Okay.
And they cannot be a city employee.
And they must be approved by us?
It'll be a recommendation at August 24th from each member of the council for an appointment of a member to the commission, and then each one of those will be approved. The commission, as recommended, will be approved by this council on Augst 24th.
And the city clerk made a point.
The only reason I was saying that, it's for the simple fact that, let's say, Councilman Kufus brings someone that I don't think is proper. What would be, this is just an hypothetical,
Well, there's threshold requirements according to your charter requirements. But if there may be some other reasons that would be appropriate for consideration for the appointment of these members, and those would be subject to the discussion of the council on August 24th.
And that's what I need. Do we have anything in paper that we could refer to just in case?
I would imagine, if it's up to the council, but I mean, if the council wants to make their recommendation at the special meeting on the 24th, then of course that would be impossible for staff to have any material for your consideration before that. This council can use this discretion and indicate that it would like these appointments, these recommendations to be submitted to staff so that, and whatever information, staff can make sure that these individuals meet the guidelines for membership as set forth in the charter.
Thank you.
We're getting the band back together. Excellent. The city clerk had made a point, they must be a registered voter too, is that true? Okay, so just live in our district, must be a registered voter, can't work for the city.
And then the other question on top of that might be, from prior, this is prior commissions, can we guesstimate how much time might be required for a member? Is it a meeting, several meetings? Can you give us any background on that?
Yes, Mayor.
And the duties, too.
I had the fortune of being the staff liaison to the last commission. Okay. And although we were in a time crunch at that time due to qualification periods, we don't have that this time, we were able to complete a districting plan in about a month. We had 2 meetings of the districting commission. I believe they lasted maybe 2 hours each, after which we were able to craft a report to present to council. So a month, 2 months, maybe 2 or 3 meetings, 2 hours each. And depending on who's appointed, we'll try to find the best time to accommodate them. Staff is not averse to working after hours, as you know. Whatever will accommodate the district and commission.
Thank you. And is that a public meeting?
Yes, those are sunshine.
Those are public meetings as well. Okay, so 2 meetings, 2 hours was the last experience.
Yes. We were able to accomplish creating alternatives and them coming to a decision on what alternative to present to council. In 2 meetings.
Okay. And just one last question. If the districting changes a seated council person's district, how is that handled?
Checkmate.
Well,
it's in the
at
charter.
that point in time, it would create a vacancy, and you have to go through the charter process to fill the vacancy.
And these people have to be present August 24th, I'm assuming?
They don't have to be.
No?
What has to happen by the end of August is that the commission be created and appointments be finalized. That's what's required by your charter.
If the charter requires, we shall do.
Yep. And I think there was a question about what is the responsibility of these members of this new commission. And again, that's set forth fairly clearly in your charter, and it says that there's a time frame, within 120 days after appointment or sooner, as may be prescribed by the council, this new commission shall prepare and file with the official designated by the council, and this is it, a report containing a recommended plan for adjustment of the council district boundaries. And that report with that plan has to comply with these charter requirements. 1, each district shall be formed of compact contiguous territory. These are also guidelines that are set forth in Florida law as well as federal cases. And the boundary lines of each new district shall follow the center lines of natural and man-made separations such as canal streets where possible. The district shall be made upon the principle of equal and effective representation, that's the most important thing, as required by the United States Constitution and as represented in the mathematical preciseness reached in the legislative apportionment of the state. The report shall include a map and the description of the districts recommended and shall be drafted as a proposed ordinance. Once filed with a designated official, the report shall be treated as an ordinance introduced by a council member. And that is substantively what their job is, with some guidelines for them to consider.
Mr. Papa, this, if I may, redistricting, will that be strictly based on a census, 2020 census, or is there any other things that we should look upon?
I believe the charter calls to use the decennial census. The results of the decennial census is what we use to determine the districts.
Because, you know, politics could really get involved with this, especially if there's, let's say, one councilman that is in a specific area, that if the redistrict, okay, goes out of it, he could actually put him out. You could put that councilman out, period. We would have to, either he moves or he could be out of the,
Staff's role and the districting commission's role is to follow the charter, to create those compact, contiguous districts, readily identifiable boundaries using man-made or natural-made features. Cannot be the property line between me and my neighbor.
You can't put me on an island?
I'm sorry?
You can't put me on an island? That's not how it works.
There's a reason why I'm saying this.
Yes, sir.
So there will be a report that comes back to City Council for us to review all that they've done to research and make their recommendation, and then that would come here for a read and for a vote.
You're going to be the liaison?
I will, me and the GIS staff. Staff's role in this is to assist the districting commission to create the most charter responsive districts. And, you know, GIS will be involved in this because we're able to divide the results and to create those maps that shows where the lines are, that provides a balanced population spread through the city.
Mr. Reichman, would it be allowable for me to, in case if I have any questions, go to Mr. Papa and ask questions regarding this matter?
I would encourage you to.
Thank you. Thank you. It will happen soon. Thank you.
Any other questions before I ask for public comment? Any members of the public like to step forward and comment on this issue of district commission? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any further discussion by City Council? I'd ask for a motion.
Would it be appropriate for a motion? I believe so, isn't it?
You would need to call a special meeting for the 24th in order to bring forth your candidates. I may also suggest you may want to have an alternate, so bring a couple from each of your districts, so that if they don't pass, then you're ready, available to pick another one.
So
in the same household?
I'll defer to Bill Reichman on that.
Sorry, what was the question?
They can't be an employee of the city, but could they be from the same household?
Sure, as long as they meet all other qualifications.
Okay.
So I would ask for a motion
For the special meeting.
For the special meeting.
for the special meeting
The 24th.
on the 24th. Okay,
I'll move that motion.
I'll second it.
very good. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Now we move on to the consent agenda, items 16, 17, and 18. Are there, let's see. Does any member of the council wish to pull any items from the consent agenda today?
Up to 22.
Yep, 18 through 22.
19,
Or, I'm
20,
sorry.
21, 22.
18 through 22.
That's the consent agenda, goes up to 22.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
No? And I would now ask the public, does any member of the public wish to speak to any of the consent agenda items at this time? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any further discussion by City Council?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for today.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? City Clerk?
Motion passes 4-0 for all the consent items, 16 through 22.
So now we open up public participation. Any items that were not spoken about earlier in the meeting, any members of the public like to step forward at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Next item, discussion by City Council of matters not on the agenda today. Any members of the City Council have any additional items for today?
Sure. I would like to congratulate Riley Opelka for reaching, I beat you? I got you ahead of you. What a tremendous week for our young man from Palm Coast. He's definitely going to be ranked in the top 30 in the world and probably the top American tennis player. So really proud of him and congratulations. He finished in the finals. He finished second, so incredible week.
Yeah, as a term of endearment, I call him Shorty.
Ha!
This man is 7 feet tall. Unreal. I saw parts of his game, and this guy has a serve and a half. He's going to make us so proud to put his name on that tennis center. Yeah. I tell you one thing. I was reading more and more about him. Okay, and he made me like tennis a little more. So I would like also to, to congratulate, and he made Palm Coast proud. Yeah. His father must be in 7 heaven. I tell you, he's got to be happy as a big guy, And also, I just want to add that I had the conversation with Mr. Reichman this morning, and there are certain things, especially on the future land use. I think we, due to the fact that we have so many projects coming in with multifamily homes, we should look into the future land use ahead of time. We should do something about it because the way we're going, one of these days, we're not going to have the infrastructures and the quality of life does not exist. We all have to look into this because the way things are done right now, when this project come to us, we basically lame ducks. We have to either approve it or approve it. So I think that would like to put it on our next meeting that we're going to have privately on next Monday, and I want to start the process there and avoid that we become a place that is going to be so crowded that's not going to be anything. So this is just food for thought, and I would like to meet with you and Monday, and possibly if we could have Jason DeLorenzi there, because we're going to have quite a few questions for him regarding this, because he's the man that knows about this. Okay? Thank you. That's my question.
So this is a request for you to meet with the
No,
interim city manager and have a discussion. Okay.
In the future, we should visit.
Sure, because just to expand on that just a little bit, so there is a planning board which
Yes.
precedes, our receiving this information, which goes through, quite a bit of a detail. So I recommend you have that discussion. That would be great. Very good.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. That's the reason why I'm even mentioning over here before I even have it.
Can we have that in a workshop?
Eventually, yeah, but this is going to be complicated, and I don't think it would be proper to bring it to a workshop just like that. This is not an easy matter. It's something that should be discussed by the staff, and then if the staff feels that, if staff and the city manager and Mr. Ratchman feels that there's validity to what I'm saying, then, because the way things are going, you could wind up with 10,000, 20,000 multifamily homes.
So in answer to your question, what I suggest is that you have that discussion and you bring some detail forward. In other words, a broad, open discussion may not net the result you're looking for. I think we have to build a workshop that will get us to an end game with all of the pieces, because there are a lot of pieces in this process.
Absolutely.
So I would recommend, if you're all okay, if you consensus, that you have those discussions and start to build the pieces, and then we'll formulate a workshop around the results of those discussions. Is that agreeable to City Council?
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay.
Absolutely.
I have 2 items. Number one, Just to let the public know that the town center, Mednex, and JU classes are beginning literally as we speak. So I'm very happy to say that we will have some number of students actually on the campuses attending classes. So if you should cross paths with anyone nearby, please wish them well. And this is the first start of our town center initiative, so very exciting for the city of Palm Coast. And the last thing I would say is I'd like to make sure, extend our best wishes for Councilman Danko, make sure if he was exposed, if he's feeling any symptoms, that he would recover as quickly as, or even more quickly than Councilman Barbosa did. So I hope everybody's okay. Very good.
Same thing, hope, everything's fine and speedy recovery.
That's one thing I forgot to add over here. Please, let's take this virus serious. Please, 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 please. Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to item number N, the city attorney of matters not on the agenda. Do you have any comments?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
And discussion by the city manager of matters not on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a list today. So let me start with what's on the agenda under that item, that we have emergency and sole source purchase items. If you have any questions of those items, now would be the time to ask that. So somewhat of a formality. Then I also have a response to Vice Mayor Bronquillo. I believe you were referencing the Northeast Florida Regional Council in a context of maybe a discussion we had recently.
Correct.
Their staff has reached out to my office, and we're starting to have discussions of an opportunity of bringing what they call the Northeast Florida COVID-19 Economic Recovery Plan to council as an update. I believe that was what you were referencing, sir?
Correct, yes.
Okay, very good. And so, looking at some future dates, they are reaching out to the other stakeholders, governments, and their 7-county reach of also organizing opportunities to come to the boards. I referenced this in a previous item at a previous meeting, but I actually served on that task force. It's called the Northeast Florida Economic Resiliency Task Force, so I'm kind of excited to see them reach out to my office, but you'll see that on a future agenda if that's acceptable to council. So go down my list a little further. We do have a couple of outdoor events coming up tonight. We have Food Truck Tuesday, very safe events, fun events, and then on September 4th, the 14th annual Intercoastal Waterway Cleanup. And registration's open right now. It plans to close in about 10 days. So that puts it on the 27th. So I encourage everyone to get out. It's a really fun event. It's safe. You can social distance and get really dirty and have fun doing it. So I would encourage anybody to look at that and register. You can go to our website to navigate to the registration process. And 2 more things. Very exciting news I want to share. Congratulations to our Financial Services Department for winning the Government Finance Officer Association's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. My goodness, what a mouthful. And that was for fiscal year 2020. I have a couple of bullet points to acknowledge. This is the 18th time receiving this award. It represents best practices on the budgeting process, recognizes transparency and excellence in the financial process. So congratulations, Elena and your team, and I'm sure you'll come back for possibly a more formal highlight of what that means. And then last, probably going to be something I echo each time during my comments, that we are drawing closer to the peak hurricane season. I encourage everyone to grab or download a disaster preparedness guide. We actually have them here today. Check your evacuation zones and revisit your plan and supplies. It's very important. Please be prepared, be safe, and be well. And that's all I have. Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council.
Very good. And the last thing before I ask for a motion is to thank the public. We appreciate your attending, and I hope you'll continue to attend, so thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I don't know. What do you think? Yes, I'll make that motion.
And a second? Second. Right, okay. We are adjourned.